Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for August 8/1/2023. Well, it's 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a Tuesday. We're having a Time for Change call tomorrow night at around 9 p.m. Eastern. So we have, we've talked about the fact that, and meditated on this fact, that we have our subconscious mind, which records everything. So the conscious mind thinks and believes. The subconscious identically creates. So the subconscious mind is where your storage of things are. And it's a master recorder because it copies everything to conscious mind and it plays it back. This is why sometimes you feel like you're going in circles. And it's sneaky because we don't know that the subconscious mind is playing a recording. A lot of times it seems familiar, but it records everything from the time you come out in that baby body all the way through this life. Every tiny, everything. Finite, and it never stops recording. Now, figure that out. This is where we begin to, early age, we begin to stop ourselves with certain things because the subconscious mind has recorded something earlier and plays it back. So this is where we become conditioned to believe that we can't do something, or that's not possible, or not take any risks. So it runs on a continual basis where it actually stops us because of past programming, because it records all the programming, records every single thing. And how many of us actually send our own thoughts out? Create the thought. Move it. You give it energy, you move it into form, and then you experience it. Most of the time, you literally are following the road of the ego mind. And the subconscious mind sits there and records it all. And the only way that we can move out of that is to focus on the now and to be in the now through the breath. Get to the point where you're in the now mostly. Once that happens, then the ego mind and the subconscious mind do not play anything, because we are rewriting the book. And it will record the things that we create from our own mind, from our own thoughts. So I believe that we have two minds. We have a heart mind, and the heart mind stores many of the positive things that you create through your thought, that you generate. It's a whole separate existence. Living in the ego mind is just not a wonderful thing, because why would we, once we know that, why would we go and allow the ego mind to master us on a continual basis, 24/7, and that's where we suffer. With the ego mind as your master, then you suffer. You get disappointed, you have letdowns, you get angry, frustrated, you question yourself, you come down on yourself. See, these are all things that keep us in low harmony, low harmonics. We do this low vibrational frequencies. And most of us aren't even aware of it. And so what happens is that we continuously do this, and we really don't know we're doing it. And we don't know we're being controlled by the ego mind. Totally oblivious to it. Now, it's not like, well, I'm going to get even with my ego mind. It's more like, how do we leave the ego mind alone, the now? Always the now. How do we stop suffering, the now? Focusing on the breath and living in the now. Existing in the now. That's how we do it. Now, the interesting part about that is that how does one person do that when they've been in the habit for lifetimes and lifetimes of suffering with the ego mind? It really doesn't take, it's not hard, I'll put it that way. It just is a habit. You focus on it. You continually focus on it. And you don't focus on anything else. You focus on the now, second to second, moment to moment. And when you do that, you leave the ego mind and subconscious mind alone. So you're kind of in a new space, and you're starting to understand that you create your own thoughts. You don't grab thoughts that constantly come at you 24/7, period. You just, it's redundant because they're not your thoughts, but they really feel like your thoughts. That's just, it's very tricky because they're really not your thoughts, right? But boy, I'll tell you, you would feel like they are your thoughts because most of us are tricked by the ego mind and believing that that's my thought. And you ever question where you question yourself by having these thoughts, and you kind of say, this cannot, where did that come from? This cannot be my thought. There's no way that can be my thought, ever, period. And once you get to the point where you're identifying those thoughts, and you say, that's not my thought, that's an ego mind thought, that's a pre-programmed thought. That came from someone, while I was growing up. And that's not mine, so I'm not going to entertain it. Now, I'm going to give a thought out to the universe, and I'm focusing on something, and this is what I want the universe to manifest. Because I manifest, the universe will build it and send it to me. And those are the tracks that we can choose to be on an everyday basis. And see, when you watch the ego mind, okay, you watch it. You don't judge it, but you start to understand what it does. What does it do? Well, it's very insecure, and it's never satisfied. So you could just take that and look around you. Look at all the people on this planet that emulate that they're never satisfied, and they always want more. That's ego mind. Perfect. Playing perfectly with the ego mind. Yeah, you're happy at times and you're sad at times, but it's short-lived. It never seems to sustain itself. It always fades out, and then you're constantly looking for more. More of this, more of that. And we burn ourselves up in this life, in many lifetimes, by doing that. Because all along, we are not in the now. We are not focused in the moment. And we are in yesterday or tomorrow on a continual basis, and we suffer. Now, you imagine, you say to yourself, well, today I'm going to suffer because the ego mind is in charge. And what I mean by that is that that's happy. That's good that the ego mind is in charge. Now, I don't know how many people would embrace the ego mind knowing that the ego mind makes just an horrible master. And that's most of the people on this planet are mastered by their ego minds. That's why we have conflict. That's why we have deviousness. That's why we have manipulation. That's why we have dishonesty. That's why we have everything happening as it's happening right now. You see people that have $1 billion and they want more. Then you see people who have $1 trillion and they want more. That's all ego mind. This planet has been run by ego mind. What about Dracos? Do they have ego mind? Absolutely. What about Pleiadians? Most species have some level of ego mind. They haven't, let's say, mastered it completely yet. When you have galactic war, right, for millions of years, out in space, interstellar space, millions and millions of years, blowing up ships and harming each other. What is that? That's ego mind. That's all it is. Now, what happens when we go into the now and we stay in the now, and the ego mind becomes our servant rather than our master? Everything changes. You're not compelled to get engaged with anyone. Engaged, conflict, disagreement, argument. It doesn't exist. It's not a motivation. And so what about dissatisfied, disappointed? Doesn't happen because you've learned not to put attachments on anything. That's ego mind. When you attach yourself to something, what happens? You end up suffering. And it is a fine line on attachments. You have desires, but you don't have, the desires aren't situated where you are expecting, you're expecting things to happen at a certain time, certain date, certain place, certain way. And it's difficult for people to stop all efforting, scheming, and trying to find your consciousness or create it. The consciousness is here right now. Now, if you want to become richer, more lovable, successful, or even more conscious, that is all fine and dandy. Just know that these are ideas and not the potent, powerful essence of who you are. Consciousness instantly reveals itself when you realize that you are not this mind or its desires. The pure state of consciousness is unfolding our vision of reality for us to enjoy. And we decide to perceive it in each moment all around us. It loves you that much. So you surrender to it. You investigate this pure consciousness that's here now and how there is nothing you can do to change it. The reason that this life can be so challenging is because of one main obstacle. We have a tendency to get over-identified with the mind and certain thoughts that it becomes attached to or avoids. The mind can get hooked like Velcro to certain roles ideas, feelings, memories, and experiences that make us feel trapped. It's like a spider caught in its own web. The more it struggles, the more wrapped up and stuck it gets. The only way out of this mind trap is to surrender to the source of who you are, the God, the pure consciousness. And one of the best ways to get out of that web is to explore the truth of what and who you really are. If you just practice using the mind to free the mind from all the thoughts it's been wrapped up in and attached to, you just get more mental activity. Instead of playing the game of the mind, start dismantling it. Let the mind weave the web it wants to weave, yet choose to focus on the light, consciousness within. Choose to focus on the light and consciousness within. This is the most enlightening and empowering place to be, and will greatly increase your manifesting vibration. You will become a super manifesting magnet for what you want, so be wise about choosing what you want. The experiences that you'll attract to you can only bring you into a more enlightened perspective. When you abide in the knowing that consciousness is natural, effortless, and the essential eternal state of what and who all of us really are. We already are. Be curious about this consciousness. If you think that you know it, let that thought go. It's just a thought, and not actually pure consciousness itself. Drop all ideas about who you truly are and liberate yourself completely. This consciousness is truly unknowable and cannot be pinned down as something that you understand once and are forever done with it. It is as infinite as this universe and is here for you to explore throughout your entire lifetime. Your job is to gently unfold it and discover this dynamic divine being that you already are. This consciousness is the God source, and it's everywhere. The secret to discovering it is in being vulnerable, open, and receptive to this moment. Be honest with yourself about what you experience or what your experience is. And then let that experience go. If resistance is there, become that wall and let it go. Explore every experience that arises until it's finished. Your life will become much more rich and wonderful and full of aliveness. Consciousness is not cold, hard, or rigid by any means. It contains a sacred warmth that you'll only find in the heart of it. This love is the love of your essence. It is already inside your heart right here and now. Just surrender to what is true and real. I guess you could call us pioneers, discoverers of ourselves. Nothing outside of ourselves, as we've been taught, but everything inside. The positive thing about experiencing the outside of ourselves, outside there, gives us an understanding of the difference. We discovered that out there is the illusion, and inside us is the reality, the truth. So we experience many things. The majority of things that we experience, we create. And we create them through the ego mind. Isn't that interesting? We create them through the ego mind. Why do you think so many of us we don't know how to relax? Can't relax. We think we relax. When I did massages years ago, I discovered that people they fight being relaxed. They fight being relaxed. They don't just surrender and let go and let all their tension and fear and worry and stress flow off and out of them. Because there's what happens in the body with stress factors, a lot of things. But there's like air pockets or bubbles of stress that form inside the body, underneath the skin, the muscles, and the tissues. And they've got to be released, or like balloons popping, letting go. And people say, "Oh yeah, I'm just at ease. I'm taking a vacation and just kind of hanging out." And it was amazing. Those are the people that I found the most tension and stress in the body. But they were chilling out, relaxing. Everything was designed to come to us. See? It wasn't designed for us to chase things. It was designed for us to have things happen for us and not to us. But we've been trained to believe that everything happens to us and not for us. So when we experience a life, and we're imagine this: we're in this life, and we're actually being controlled by the ego mind, which both are illusions, and we're kept in a box, and we go throughout our whole lives doing that, and then we leave the body. Then all the things that we wanted to do, for the most part, we didn't do while in the body. So when you are in the body, another reason that we enter the body is because of what? To find out what we are. Do we know who and what we are when we're out of the body? No, we think that we're still in the body. We don't correlate the fact that you're out of the body, so what are you? There's where the confusion comes in. You're out of the body, so what are you? If I'm not in the body, what am I? Where am I? I can see everything, but they can't see me. So, but when you're in the body and you discover who and what you are through your lifetime, okay, which is a feat in itself, and when you leave the body, you know what you are. You know who you are. You're pure love, light, energy, pure consciousness. Omnipotently powerful being. Not the body. Body's gone. But you are. Always have been. And interestingly enough now, you can visualize this, is that you, what you really are, is omnipotently powerful energy, right? The body is a vessel that houses that energy. Now, since we do not know yet that we're that powerful, this is why we believe we cannot heal ourselves, that we just don't fathom it, and that we go for outside help, someone to help us, to apply different treatments, because we don't know that what we're trying to do is heal for others to heal us, when all along we've got this omnipotent power as the beings we are in these bodies to heal ourselves, to heal the body on a daily basis. But we're not aware of that. So we continually do everything outside of ourselves. And this is part of our discovery while we're in these bodies. Then why do so many people reincarnate? Because they haven't figured it out. And they don't figure it out when they're in God form. They don't know. They don't know what they are. And this is all part of the learning process for us to gain experience, knowledge, so that we can progress and advance. And then we continually do this, so we absorb more and understand more of this knowledge that we gain. Overcoming, basically mastering the ego mind, understanding who and what we are, surrendering all of the things that we have dragged with us through several lifetimes, forgiving ourselves, others, loving ourselves and others. These are all things that we don't really embrace too much. So I believe there's this different parties, and some of them were afraid to enter. But eventually, we will discover collectively who and what we are in these bodies. We will discover. And we'll move on. And we may not reincarnate. We may find other forms to do so, rather than become stuck lifetime after lifetime, pretty much doing the same things in different ways until we leave the body again. Now, I bet you that the majority of us would say, I wouldn't care to reincarnate over and over again with no memory of what I did the last time I was in the body. How did my life go? What did I do? See, because we gain a lot of experience lifetime after lifetime. But isn't it interesting that we don't seem to be able to utilize that experience? Because we have amnesia. Is that normal for us? The question comes up. Is that a normal thing? Is that something, whatever normal is, right? That's what we're supposed to do. But it isn't. It's artificial. You figure it out. Us gods get into bodies to experience the physical material world. We create things to challenge ourselves so we gain more experience, just to have the experience. Create everything around us. We're naturally born manifestors, creators. That's what we do. And yet, what do you do? What do you regularly do in this life? You gain experience so that you have knowledge on certain things that you know better not to do or do, right? And as you age, in most cases, you become more aware of things, And you wouldn't do the same things that you did when you were in your teens, would you? Most likely not. And this is gaining experience and staying in that body long enough. So a lot of these things we review and say, that's not something that I would do today. But we have nothing to gain or to experience the understanding is that we're journeyers and we create everything as we go along, but we have no recall. Isn't that amazing? We have no recall. We don't know. It's like if you do something, when you do something in this life, you do get a feeling that you might have done it before. Have you ever said to yourself, something seems familiar with this? Now, you don't do that with everything, just certain things. Something seems familiar with this. But I can't put my finger on it. It's usually because it's kind of like you've done it before and you've done it in a past life. But you don't know that. Or someone says to you, how do you know how to do that? You say, friend, right? Friend, you never had any training in that. How can you do that? And then you tell your friend, I don't know. It just comes naturally. You're just able to do it. It's because you've done it in a past life. Somewhere you've done it before. So that's something. See, now once you start to recognize that, and your attitude shifts, and you start to realize that, well, wait a minute here. Why don't I have full recollection of all my past lives? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Because this doesn't make any sense to any of us. You ask anybody that's somewhat awake, aware, right? And they'll say the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Why have the life if you don't have any first-hand experience to pull into the next life, which helps. Just like when you find someone that's very good at regression therapy. So they take you back to your former life. And a lot of the things that you're experiencing, because certain times in your current life, certain times, something will start to show up. And it'll be like, and I use the analogy where you go to work every day. You happen to cross a covered bridge, right? You remember those covered bridges? And you're fine with it. You have no issue, nothing. For years, until you turn a certain age. And then all of a sudden you start getting a weird feeling. When that bridge that you've been crossing for a long time, you don't feel comfortable driving over that bridge. Can't put your finger on it. And you're approaching your 30th birthday. And the closer you get to that birthday, the more disturbed you become every time you get ready to drive over that bridge. And you can't figure it out. So you go to a regression therapist, and they take you into your former life, and sure enough, you, in a former life, crashed off of a bridge and drowned in the body of water below. See, we carry these essence with us. But the frustrating thing is that we don't have memory of it. Now, if he had memory of it, he would have known, and he would have let it go. Then he wouldn't have had that fear anymore. You did, you passed in that life for that, but that's not going to happen to you in this life. Because we all determine everything in our lives. Believe it or not, we determine it by our actions, by what we focus on every single time. We can argue with it, we can ignore it, but it's still there presenting itself. Be careful of what you focus on, whatever it may be. Be careful of what you focus on. That should be taught and front and center for everyone on this planet. And a much deeper understanding, so they begin to embrace it. You mean to tell me that what I focus on, I'm going to create that into my life? Yeah, you will. Absolutely. Now, it may not appear, overnight, but you keep focusing on it, and it's going to do a number. It sooner or later is going to happen, without a doubt. And when you're not consciously aware of what you're focusing on, because that happens too, where you're just kind of going along, right? And something kind of comes in that you focus on. But you don't really pay much attention to it, and you just let it go. And then it happens, and you go, holy cow, I was just thinking about that just the other day, and here it is. See how that plays out. How did that happen? How the heck did that happen? Where it's that close? Because we created it through our intention. That's what's so wild about it. Not that we are aware. That's a frustrating thing that we're just, in most cases, we're just not aware of it. And it just happens. And it gets frustrating. Now we could, some of us could choose to just sit in a bubble and just stay there and not really step outside the bubble. And some people decide that that's what they want to do. Because we attract everything we focus on. And I mean everything. Not a little bit, but whatever it is we're putting our attention on, we're creating it. And it's coming into reality. It will come into our reality. And the only reason, and people say, well, I focus on this, but it never happens for me, is because you don't believe and you doubt. And you get frustrated because you're mastered by the ego mind. So your patience is not good, and you block it. You're the one. We block it. We block our abundance. It's not like it doesn't flow to us 24/7, because it does, but we just block it through doubt, not having faith or trust in ourselves and the universe. And so we just end up blocking it. And it doesn't happen. On occasion, one might slip through. But see, we're so conditioned and programmed that many of us don't seem to embrace that understanding. So you continue to ask for things that never come because they're blocking them. because they do not have full confidence, trust, and faith in themselves and the universe. If they did, then anything they asked for would come to them. And a lot of the universe knows better than we do. This is across the board. This is why we focus on this so much. It is across the board. It's actually the primer to everything. Staying in the now, focusing on the moment, getting into the habit of doing that 24/7. Staying in the now. When you wake up in the morning, you're in the now. Period. You're focused only on the moment. Only on the moment. Your thoughts are in the moment. You are not with the ego mind. So you have no chatter, no noise, no interruptions, no nothing. Just silence. The breath is magic. Most of us take the breath for granted. We just don't, we don't know the significance of our breath, what it does. So in the quiet time of this meditation, focus, and this is with in yourself, in the universe. That's really crucial. And focus on something that you want, but only after you're in the now and in the heart-mind. Listen to the breath. Some of you may fall asleep. Sorry about that. I was disconnected again. Had a hard time getting back on. But again, in the quiet time with this meditation, see how long you can focus on the now with your breath, listening to the breath. You're not doing anything else. You're in a relaxed, comfortable position, and you're just listening to your breath, focusing on your breath. That's it. Nothing else. And then if you find and in the heart-mind, you find yourself at ease, and you do have full confidence, trust, and faith in yourself and the universe, then go ahead and ask for what it is you want. Do it in detail, and then let it go. I'll join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. We are deeply and intimately connected to the one vast, pure, divine presence. This energy is beyond words, beyond thoughts and concepts, and it is completely untouched by time and space. This is the essence of spirit. This is what we are at the core. Do we realize how sacred we are now? Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning, and we will return here. August 2, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be of the highest high, deepest of the deepest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.